Okay, got cut off at the very end there. But what I was saying is, so for stuff like walls, you can see that there's for graphics under this graphics icon on the edit type tab. There's a separate graphics for a course, the course option, so you can set it, and then it does a whole a whole thing that fills it in, so you can see that has the course has one, and then when I switch to medium and find it has another. But if I go back to the other section, I can show you a little better. So for this wall, and this is kind of how you do it. For this is how I like to do it for presentations. Um, so for stuff like schematic design presentations, I always like to stick in core scale and to fill it in as a solid fill. And the same goes for walls as well. I mean, floors and like roofs and stuff like that. That has the same kind of thing, that the core scale option, and then the actual properties of the floor. The reason I like to do this for schematic design is you can do a kind of like a fill like that to show that there's a thickness to that wall, there's structure going on in there, but you're not really sure what it is. And then, when you get to the construction document phase and design development, you can switch over to medium and start to see the structure of that wall and, the different hatch patterns that you're going to need for each different layer. So if I go back to the materials and fix this so it's what the brick usually is. So then, now you start to have the hatch patterns, and then you could add insulation in and stuff like that. When you get to your construction documents, and that's would be later tutorials that I do to show you how to start adding in things like insulation and the connections that you may have to do and stuff like that. So I think that's it for walls. Let me quickly put in a floor, just to show you. Um, so most building elements work the same way in regards to adding materials. To them, obviously, you could always use the paint tool to add a material to a surface. Um, Let me move this up to level 2, just so it's there. So the same can go for a floor, where you could add a material, you could paint a material onto the floor here. Instead of doing separate floors for each different material. Say in the bathroom you have tile, and then out here you have a different kind of tile. You can use the split surface on a floor as well, and then you can do um, then you can use the paint tool to do and I'm just picking stuff, so one material there and then another material there. Um, so there's different things that you can do for that. And then let me delete off that split. And then again, the same as other floors, as walls. I should say. You could again go to edit type and add this material, but like a wall, it assigns it to um, all view, all sides, all faces of the floor. So if I isolate that floor for a second, you can see that material gets painted on all the different faces of the floor, which in most times you don't want. But again, if you have a floor that's not generic and actually has structure to it, then again you can come in and click that tile. If I switch over to realistic, so we can actually see what the tile looks like. So that's that tile mosaic material that they have. But if you have once you do a floor that has structure on it, you can go to that tile mosaic, and if you wanted to create a new material, as I did, and I'm just using that same wall finish one that I used, so I don't have to create another one. And then now it adds that finish just to that face. So again, if I isolate that floor now, it's just to that face and not the rest. Again, but that's only if you have a floor that has it's not a generic floor, and it has all the different layers to it created. And then again, if you look in section, so this is the floor in section. Again, if you go to edit type, you can see that there's a coarse scale that you can do for that floor. So again, as I said, I like to do solid fill for schematic design purposes. So now you can start to see, oh, there's a floor there. It has some structure going on, so I know that there's a thickness there, and it starts to display that a little bit better. And then when you switch over to medium or fine detail, you get to start to see the layers and the hatch patterns that would make up those layers. And then for this floor, again, you would start to see the beams and stuff. And then, the ceiling and everything like that. Now there are some circumstances, if I rotate around, where you kind of have to do special kind of roundabout ways to add material. For instance, you can see the curtain wall. If I try to use the paint tool, I can't paint anything. It just won't let me paint. It won't pick a face for me. So what you actually have to do is if you come to the wall and you hit tab, you can select the different elements of the glass curtain wall. So if I hit the glass, you can see it gives me the system panel glaze. And if I go to edit type, you can see there's a material to it, which is glass, and then you can do different types of glass that you can change if you want to, or create a new material for glass and do a different glass material, because that glass material could be used in other places for like windows and stuff. So you'd probably want to create your own, glass material for a specific window that you're doing. So like materials are like if you're trying to change a material that's already created on an element, it's kind of like with walls where you want to duplicate a wall or a window if you're doing different sizes. It's kind of the same here with materials where if I go to edit type and I want to do a different type glass, before I do it, maybe I duplicate the material and then rename it, something that's unique. And then the appearance, I can come here, go to the appearance library in the asset browser, go to glass, and pick a new type of glass. And then see what that looks like. And then the same goes for mullion. So if you tab to where you find the mullion, you can go to edit type, and then you can see the material of the mullion, and you can edit it that way. Again, and the reason that you can't paint is because this is kind of like basically they know that this mullion is probably going to be the same material on all of its faces, so that's why you can only do it by editing its type, aluminum, and picking the material. But you can see, like, if you click on the wall itself and go to edit type, there's no really materials anywhere. Like, you can see the mullion type, but you can't get to its materials in any way. And then you can see the type of system, the glaze panel that you're using, but you can't get the material because you actually have to tab to each one individually. And but obviously, if I pick one of the mullions, that mullion is being used throughout. So if I go to edit its type and change its material to say this, it changes it for all of them that are that have the same unique shape, the same family type to it for the mullion. So that's those. Doors, I believe, work in the same. So stuff like doors, they work and windows. They kind of work in a similar fashion. Where let me pick this door and this window. I'm going to isolate them so we can see them easier. So doors and windows work in the same fashion where you can see I can't pick anywhere to paint. Now if you click on a door, I believe these will actually show the materials. So this is one that's nice where doors and windows, the way the family is set up, you can actually hit edit type and then it'll show the door frame, which is that the frame on the outside, and then the door panel material. So you could click on those and change those or create a new material. And again, it works the same way as if you're trying to change the material for just one door and you have multiple doors. Keep in mind that defaultly this door panel material that you see here, so when you click on it and go to the browser, that door panel is probably going to be assigned to multiple doors. So if it's just one door that you want to change the material to, or one kind of whatever element it is that works like this, say if it's a window, you want to make sure that you duplicate it first so you can do a unique material for that door. And obviously you maybe want to duplicate the door as well if it's a separate door. But you have the same size single flush door, but one has one material and one has another. Um, and then, so the door frame is there, and then the same works for windows, where if you click on the window, then again, the sash, and then the sash is basically the frame, and the glass panel is the glass. Sometimes you're going to have elements that you can bring in that you may not know exactly what the material is pointing to, or is. So, for instance, if you click on that window, and you can see that it's a sash material, but you don't really know what has the sash material. If you have the option, when you click on it, you can hit Edit Family. So if I go and hit Edit Family, it's going to open the family file. So if I go to a 3D and go to Realistic, I can now click on the different extrusions, and I can see what material it is called. So this one is the frame mullion. This is subcategory, but it's still the sash material. This is the sash material, and then this is glass. Now you can change them here, but a lot of times when you load them back into the family, they don't change. So what I usually like to do is just see what the material is right here, just in case I can't see it, and then close those. No, I don't want to change. Save it, and then when I go back to my project file, now that I know it's a sash, I can find that sash material in the material library and update it that way. So like now you can see, like if I click on that mullion, you can see how I can't edit its family, and so that's why you have to do it the way that I showed for mullions. If I quickly, so say take this desk, say I put in this desk. So this, you have the different materials and finishes that come in, like the top and the handle and legs and the body. But sometimes, like I said, you may not know exactly what it is. So if you go to Edit Family and you go to Realistic, you can, see. Okay, so you can see like these handles. They weren't showing. I don't believe. If I close this for a second. So that handle was steel chrome, which it is. So it's the same as the leg material. But this is a quick and easy way where you can click on the different parts and see what material it is, and then come back in to the project folder and update it, and then go to the material library. And so that's the cool thing too, with the material library. So anytime you bring in a new family, the material library is updated with the materials that are used to create that family. So if you find a file from Revit City that you bring in, the materials that are associated with that file will be populated in this material library. So if you ever bring in a Revit family file and you want to change its materials for something, you can, click on it, edit its family, see what the material is called, and then find it in the material library in your project file, and then change it there. Getting close to running out of time in this video, so I'm going to end here and then show you some things with the stair and the railing, because changing the materials on those is a little bit trickier. Well, not trickier, just more of a pain to find them.